Alright, I've gotten the video live. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going around to try a few things right now. My screen isn't cooperating. I'm wanting to see how I can share this video and such. I think it's working. It's kind of working. More options. Share. Share. I don't know if there's anything else. I want to share it. I'll share it to my timeline. Okay. Share it to my timeline. Because we are here from my author page. Never done anything like this before, so I'm working through the technical aspects. Thank you very much for being here, Jared. You're currently here. I don't know if anybody else is going to jump on. Trying to share the things, working on sharing the things. I know, my wonderful husband is here. Let's go home, see what's going on, share the live video. Cool, I think it's doing all the things. Yay, that makes me very excited. So I'm going to start with, I was going to originally do this at a local bar. Hey, Frank, it's nice to see you here. Sometimes I call you George in my head, even though that's your last name. Like, it's Frank, it's not George. Hi, Rebecca. I love you guys. It's so great to see you, sort of, kind of. So yeah, I was going to do this originally at a place called Linderman's River West Inn. My friend and I went out to a poetry night there once, and I got to read. And the guy who organizes the whole thing said, I love your poem that you read. Would you like to be featured here sometime? I was like, sure, that sounds like lots of fun. So I was going to be featured tonight. And then things happened and the world changed. And so this is my dining room. You guys can't see the rest of it, but that's cool. And I just wanted to say that I'm very excited to be able to do this from the internet tonight. Some of the things that I'm going to share are things that I've been looking forward to sharing for a while, and I put my stuff together today. So let's go ahead and get started. I began writing poetry when I was 11. The Prince of Egypt had just come out, and I wrote a piece called The Prince of Egypt. Prince of Egypt, yeah, anyway. It was terrible because I was 11, but I was so proud of it. I continued to write poetry after that. I studied poetry. I checked out all kinds of poetry books from the library and studied different styles. I was very into English poetry. I liked the Oxford Book of English Verse. I have the Oxford Book of Irish Verse poetry. I don't know, whatever. Some of my favorite poets are Lewis Carroll and the one who writes The Lady of Shalott. Is that Tennyson? Alfred Lord Tennyson? I think that's who wrote it. I had it at some point somewhere, and I have no idea where it is, and I didn't go looking for it because I was going to share my stuff. And one from Lewis Carroll. Maybe two from Lewis Carroll. Hi, Robert! So nice to see you, too. So I'm going to start with a piece called Flicker. Amidst the drowning, there was a shore where light flashed with comfort. Amidst the storm, there was a whisper that helped to still the waves. While chaos ensued, there was a tether that helped ground sanity. And while trapped within the frozen lake, footsteps resounded, remaining a spark of hope. Madness encumbered, trapped in the perfect cage. Keyless and trio, what a twist! A prisoner to remain. And why the manipulator gets their way, and the prisoner does remain, what frustrating puzzlement is this? A beautiful trap awaited. The fates are such a tease. Forbidden fruit, what amazing bites. The taste, but not for me. Such sweet lies to fall into along the broken road tread, each one wrapped in their own disguise. The scent is always the same. Silly pawn, the game is on. Trusting illusions, trusting the disguise. Alone in the frightful forest, fate's games I will slay on my own. So, in poetry, I really like wit and whimsy. I love nonsense. Absolutely love it. Madness, the whole 9 yards. A perfect example of nonsense is Lewis Carroll. I love the intrigue, the wordplay. I love the what is that about anyway? It doesn't even make sense. That's my favorite kind of poetry. So I have this lovely artist workbook that Paul got for me, and in it gives you different things to do every day as an artist. And so they're like unwind and get everything out of your brain. So a perfect example of absolute madness and wit and whimsy and nonsense. Keys, running around and ravaging. Nothing, I also can't read my handwriting, but anyway. Nothing breaking, nothing bolting. Flying, banging, lumping, skulking. Why has all gone drift and drivel? Give him up with twigs and brimble. Feet are flirting, edged and twerping? Yes, twerping. Dibble dap, piddle, paddle, plot. Nonsense, all day long. Keep the fires roaring logs. Hard out, fighting, festered fighting, shaking, quaking, blistered biting. Shovel, cool, cower, collide. Nothing bumping, slither, run, by pointed, pasted, purchased, plumping. All the dogs are set to running, chasing, bracing, facing, rusted. Undone drains, and make them I don't know that word. Books and bookends, dartless chasing, all the shares in them, shadows in them gracing, shadows turning, spineless spinning, nonsense sends the pages racing, and it keeps going on like that through lots of words that don't make any sense and run together. But I'm not going to try and determine what they say right now. So yeah, Lewis Carroll and fairy tales and fairy tale retellings are some of my favorite things that have influenced a great deal of my poetry throughout the years. I'm going to read a Lewis Carroll poem right now. Some of it, not all of it. Some of them are very long in Alice in Wonderland. Okay, so when I'm out with the kids and we are running around and doing things and I'm holding their hand and they're not walking or they're walking ahead of me, one of my favorite things to do is, "Will you walk a little faster?" said the whiting to a snail. "There's a porpoise close behind us and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting by the wayside. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you? Will you, won't you join the dance?" The mole rats is not in here. This is a compilation of all kinds of poems and poetry throughout the years, but Lewis Carroll and Alice in Wonderland had a huge impact on me as a writer. And fairy tales, most definitely. And the things that I ended up writing. I love fairy tale retellings. You guys know I like Once Upon a Time. I adore Once Upon a Time. It's one of my favorite things. And so when Rumpelstiltskin goes mad and he is in the cage and Zelena has him and he's just kind of like muttering all these things. I love that. So anyway, when I was going through my divorce and leaving my ex, some of the things that I wrote were very nonsensical. I also love animal stories, and so animals show up a lot in the things that I've written. This one is called Clever Duck. Clever duckling, you silly fowl, don't stop moving despite the growl. Barn dog barks, hurry home, little duck, your pain you own. Now get up, you feather brain, follow the pointed weather vane, march your feet and stretch your stuff, little duckling had enough. Puffed out chest, you're doing well. You got up every time you fell. Keep on going, your heart is whole, and don't stop winning till you reach the goal. And then, unfortunately, the little duckling had a bit of a trip up. Stupid duck and clever fox stepped into the ring to box. Honey words and charming grin, the duck soon was giving in. Little duck became his dinner, she the saint and he the sinner. The poor duckling ran to get away, for she knew she could not stay. Months went by without a word. She went back to pack her herd. But while staying there she learned his wiles, charming her with gaze and smiles. But his words rehearsed and failing, she lost all that had been waiting. Hope for better nests to bed, hope for room to lay her head. Ruffled feathers and broken spine, the duck hoped once more to align, until she saw the mess she made. Stupid duck a grave had laid. There's another one. So in that same period of time, I was definitely all into the nonsense. There was one particular weekend that I woke up and every single thought I had for the whole weekend was in rhyme. I kid you not, but like nonsensical rhyme. And so I was like thinking about what we were going to eat. And it followed up with rhyme. And I thought about what I was doing. And it followed up with rhyme. Like every thought in my head was nonsense. And it was actually kind of fun. Here's another one from that particular era that I wrote called The Miller's Daughter. Spinning wheels crumble, baskets of gold go, spinning wheels crumbling, baskets of gold go tumbling. The miller's daughter goes back to rags, not even a glimmering strain. No chain links of hope remain. Cast out she goes among the hags. Rumpelstiltskin is a liar. She is marched to a pyre. Poor miller's daughter taking the blame. Who could blame her, hoping to be more than blindly groping, desiring to come out above her fated lot? And now it seems fate betrayed her. Rumpelstiltskin was no savior. Cackling bystander, mock what she is not. Broken lady enslaved in grief, may your painful fate be brief. May there be mourning when you are found. Abandon hope, miller's daughter. Your kind has little hope of honor. A sinner's grave, the final empty mocking ground. And then little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her cottage cheese. Along came a spider that sat down beside her and ravaged her with his greed. The little girl wept, alone and bereft, awaiting to be normal again. But alone on her tuffet, she became a buffet. A buffet, but it rhymes with tuffet. Or it's spelled like tuffet, okay. For spiders washed out by the rain. Sometime later, Prince Charming did save her and plucked her up from her demise. She was lonelier then than ever had been, and left the wolf in disguise. Tumbling weary, her sight gone bleary. She accepted her heart was no good for love. The past that shaped her made her run from any savior who might come to her side to help her rise above. So yeah, I'm totally all into nonsense. Lots of nonsense. I adore the nonsense. I was an emo kid. Some of you know that. When I was young, the wonderful, magical world of darkness and emotions and not understanding what I was feeling or what I was going through definitely made its way to the page. And I was reading through all of my poetry from high school earlier, and I was like, can I just burn this? I want to burn all of this. Because I was definitely a teenager once, like all of us were. So some of the darkness still remains. Hi, Casey! I see you. I'm so glad you made it. So some of the emo stuff kind of like made its way in to the later writing years because, I mean, does the darkness ever really go away? Especially when you're fascinated with it. So this one's called Ashes. Pretty things all turn to ashes, chopped up, broken, rust and scratches. Everything must come to an end, and seen through the glass, only shadows now pass, unaware of the loss of a friend. Despair reaches icy fingers where hopeless thought lingers, playing the songs of the dead, biting cold steel, reminds I can feel in the carpet, dries in red. Yes, darkness was fun once upon a time. Owl City. It was also one of my influences as a teenager, and so was Regina Spektor, because they have awesome wordplay, and they just write so well, and I envied that. So I'm going to write one that was inspired by Owl City, and I hope that you can hear it. It's called Starboard Gloom. Simple as it seems, the rooster weather wings deliver the wind in from the north. There's a stirring in my heart, and the wind it plays a part, setting this ship out on its course. Hi-ho and away, the silver ocean spray laughs as it watches me hurl. The stomach-churning waves have tangled up my legs, and the deck takes me for a whirl. I dance with the banister while the dark and sinister edge of the starboard gloom reminds me this dance is alone, and how the waves have grown as I stumble back into my stateroom. When this ocean surface is calm, you can watch the stars dance on the waves. That's when I sigh and look at my palm. Missing you on this cruise leaves me grave. The word is grave. Oh, darling, do you hear my laugh? The salty ocean spray whispers to me. As the waves against the stern crash, I never thought sailing away could be so lonely. There's a lot of memories, and it was a lot of fun going through all the poems, trying to figure out what I was going to read tonight and what I was going to do. Because there's just, everything is wrapped up in memory, and you can definitely see how dark and dismal I had once been, and how emotional, and how life was dumb. Words buzz through my skull, so many thoughts I can't explain. Nonsense plots, memories, and hopes I wish they were able to be detained. I can't even find the songs that best explain the collision inside. So lost in so much anticipation, I can't think at all, repress it all. Hush and still the thoughts aren't clear. I don't remember if there was anything else in this book I wanted to read. I've had this one for a really long time. And I used to think that I was a journal collector. And then I got married to Paul and realized I am an imposter. I am not a journal collector. If anybody collects journals, he collects journals because he has all of the journals. I have no idea what is going on with my video right now. I don't know if it's because of the lighting changing or what, but it is definitely doing something awkward. There we go. I think I fixed it. No, maybe not. Okay. I might have to click out and come back if it is going to continue to be weird. I have no idea why it's being weird right now. Is that light?
If it's flickering, yeah, it'll cause that.
Okay, because it's going orange and it's really weird. That's back to normal. There we go. Cool. Sorry. I'm going to stop moving that now. So Regina Spektor, she also, thank you, that changed a whole lot of light. Regina Spektor was also one of my musician heroes because her lyrics are turned. So thank you, Rebecca. Her lyrics were so unique, and I love the way that she spins her words. So I wrote one called The Robin with one of the songs that she had written in mind. But it was also kind of sort of about what I was going through at the time. The gentle hum of a robin told sets its wings for halls of gold, empty, faithless, doesn't know where to fly. A raven landed by the tree, said, "Come, little birdie, and follow me. You can't, we can, we'll set out for the sky." So up, up, up those little birds flew, spreading their wings to heights of blue, racing, chasing into those mashed potato clouds. But a storm started rumbling as they went. The robin, she fearfully went to panicking yet. "Hey, you, say you, raven, did you hear those sounds?" "No, no, my sweet, it's your imagination. We're okay as long as we stay away from them. Don't worry, dear little bird, we're not so far away now." The thunder grew louder, the wind picked up. Little Robin's heart made a wild thump thump. Tapping, terrified, she wanted to go back to the ground. Flapping, terrified, she wanted to go back to the ground. As the rain started swirling, the robin gave a croon. She said, "This isn't what I bargained for, I'm going home." Crackling, laughing, the raven, he said, "It's too late for that." The tempest turmoil swallowed the robin whole, chewed her up and took away her soul, betrayed, lying. Excuse me, the baby is awake. Hello, little one. Are you going to climb up into chairs and come and see mommy? There goes it. Did you see that? She pushed up. The tempest turmoil swallowed the robin whole, chewed her up and took away her soul. Betrayed laying in the rain, someone tell me what you think of that. And the moral of our story should ring true. If somebody comes along to help you, you better ask twice when they're particularly nice, or the raven's gonna swallow you too. That is the poem that I read at the poetry reading when I attended with my friend. That the person over asking poets or people to come and be featured for an evening heard, and he's like, I really liked that, and I enjoyed your poetry very much, and I would like you to come and read again. And then he said, your poem reminded me of something that my father had written for me when I was a child, and I thought that was cool, so I was like, sure, I'd love to hear that. And then the night he was featured, I did not get to make it out there so I could hear it. But he also reminded me ahead of time, hey, this is happening, and I wanted you to hear this, so maybe sometime I will. What am I going to go to next? It's hard putting all of these together. Punk rock, My Chemical Romance, Second-Hand Serenade, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Hawthorne Heights, all of the punkish emo bands. I really, really, really like punk rock a lot. Hawk Nelson, I like Hawk Nelson. Relay and Kay and Owl City are kind of similar in their sound because Adam Young is friends with Matt Thiessen, which is cool because they're in each other's songs sometimes. But they're not really punk rock in the same kind of vein as like Secondhand Serenade. But anyway, I really like punk rock, and so in the style of a punk rock song, I wrote an ode to static electricity. Dear static electricity, please let go of me. I wasn't in the vicinity, but you stuck plastic on my hand. And now I'm wondering why you're hooked on me. I'm like a submarine with a healthy fear of land. Shockingly, I run into you, sets my hair on end. I don't have a need for the negativity you send. Get over yourself, my dear, you won't faze my heart. I'll be leaving when I can finally pull my clothes apart. I can't appreciate this shocking force. You're grabbing me from the floor. I'm positive we need a divorce. It's so dry, it's too warm, you don't understand. The lightning strike was just too much. Is there anything you won't touch? Someone get me some glass. I won't allow you to conduct a spark. You're attacking me alone in the dark. Eventually, this too shall pass. And it goes back to the chorus. Shockingly, I run into you, sets my hair on end. I don't have a need for the negativity you send. Get over yourself, my dear. You won't faze my heart. I'll be leaving when I can finally pull my clothes apart. And then the final. And now I've charged my heart to someone else. I'm positive you'll get over it before too long. Honestly, I never felt the spark kindle for myself. Maybe if you didn't conduct yourself so wrong. I might have chosen to let you light up my heart. Frankly, some days I miss your spark. Which one? This one, the static electricity, Rebecca? I just now saw your comment. All right, I was a hopeless romantic. Oh wait, it catches up. I was a hopeless romantic, and there's a lot of love poems that I wrote when I was a teenager because I was like, you know, every girl wants to meet Prince Charming, and so I wrote lots of poems to my future Prince Charming. And then recently I revisited that, and so not recently, like in the last 2 years, but recently in my life I revisited, going back and writing to Prince Charming again. And this is how it went. Dear Prince Charming, I don't know where I went wrong. You were not my lover true. I waited around for all those years. The only one I ever wanted was you. Every hour ticked by, the ticking made me go insane. The dragon became my pet. Soon I was no one to save. Or maybe perhaps the pet must have been me. After all those years, the dragon and I were both so empty. I opened the door and let us out, having to settle for less and figure out my own way. Hey there, Prince Charming. It's been a while since I gave up on finding you. I wish you hadn't given up on finding me too. Whoever she is, I hope that you're settled down. Whoever she is, I hope you have a family now. A little boy or little girl as an heir to carry on your name, since I was never one you thought to come and save. How am I? I'm doing all right. The dragon is gone. He took flight. He left me with 2 kids of my own. Dear Prince Charming, are you listening to the wind as it blows through your kingdom? If you can hear my voice, I'm crying out for freedom. Locked inside where they can't see, the dragon left his fire in me. Every once in a while it escapes and burns down everything. If I make it through this life, perhaps one day you might find me. I'll run to you with open arms, start crying with this song I'm writing. Dear Prince Charming, it's been so long since I've been held in loving arms. Dear Prince Charming, all I remember of what hope felt like is the scars. After all the time I waited for you, I gave up hope and pushed on. Love blew out like a hurricane. My light is faded, hope is gone. Prince Charming, did you give up looking for me too? All I want is for one day to be locked up safe inside with you. One of my very first ironic poems is called Ambiguity. And if you listen through it all the way through, you'll understand why it is called that. Delicate carvings, so loose, unstable, in a world toppling over itself, falling freely from a table made of everything we ever felt. Carvings shatter against jagged ground, pieces that took so long to make. And what will we finally cause to wake? When we stop and look around, what did we have and what did we break? And I'm going to leave it at that. All right, I have 2 more here in this running. I will read the more nonsensical one second. This one is called Manipulation. Such a sweet gift memory is. It reminds us of our guilts, the blood-stained hands, the torn-up feet, eyes gouged out by our regrets. Things we've done and songs we sung that brought us to these points, how futile the attempts to erase the past. Instead, it swallows us whole. Sifting through the broken strands of things we cannot hold in our grasp, pinpricks of light crack through the darkness where we hide our every sin. And when the box needs a laugh, it kicks itself open, spilling the contents out. Topsy-turvy madness, confidence shattered. There is no end to this hell. What a carnival is in my brain, enslaved by the will of those surrounding. How can I escape when I've been trained to depend on their every whim? How frustrating to be enslaved to a mindset twisted and fashioned so well. Every promise broken, every hope let down, and yet I am helpless to save myself, for I have become the perfect slave. And then in the same vein, moments ticking ebb away, words faltered, afraid to stay, slipping past all time and reason, broken heart, confusing treason, anchored by what is illusion, feeling this was an intrusion, speculate the emotional state by which we now separate, a rift it grows canyon wide, on either cliff we stake our side. The grip I bore on your heart, by windy gale now ripped apart, and I so vigilant to behold how easily you could have sold, buying into fear and doubting, drowned by drowned by how gaily sounding the banshee wail, now strong to sing, how we fail in this floundering. But yet I thought we two, hold love to just me, just you. Alas, how wrong my thoughts confound me, when this turn of born astounding shakes me to my frail core. We are not so strong to form bonds of eternity for communion. Again I peer to this illusion. Control, control, I say it now. I was merely played, and yet how was I blind to your advances, risking all in flighty chances? Here you lie in ruin, despair, in your eyes a glassy stare. Comfort I find now there, naked your soul lays bare. And now my time has come to turn with a solid sum. Done am I with your tricks. The tumbling ruins this house of bricks. Home no longer set out alone to irrational design to roam. To all irrational design to roam, and leave you wondering how I stole all illusions that you had control. Yeah. So, I have gone through all of these, but I wanted to do just one more, because I always wanted to, when I would get the poetry books from the library, and I would read through all of the different epic poems and all of the different story poems that everybody had written. I envied them, and I really wanted to write a story in a poem. but I could never really get through like Beowulf because that was a really hard poem form of a story to read. Once I found it in a book, like a novel form, which was really nice, and I read that, and that turned out to be very, very well done. But I could not read it in the story form of the poetry form of the story. It did not click in my brain for whatever reason. So I always wanted to write one. Like there's one about a cow. There's a famous Irish poem about a cow that I can't remember right now. And it's like long, so many pages of this poem. And I wanted to write a story in a poetry form. So I did, and I'm going to read that. It is called Wandering Winter Child. Now I lay me down to rest in boughs of barren trees. The winter gloom has cast its spell, and I fall unprotected to its will. Ice crystals still shut my eyes as tears fall prey to the frozen wind. I cannot let go of the slumbering branch, so smarter than I to have retreated deep within itself before winter settled in. If I shift but a little, I could tumble to my fate, buried beneath the foreboding drifts until the spring awakens. The biting chill of death sets in as my ligaments begin to freeze. Frostbite licks with its rough swollen tongue to lap at the life I have left. With naught left to suffer, the grate leaves me numb, and the wind will freeze my blood. Anguish dulls, no longer do I feel pain. Darkness surrounds my failing mind, and I think I'm going to die. The world faded, I watched it go. It parted with me when I slept. But, crackling and breathing, I faintly catch in my burning ears and the hint of burning wood I smell. Have I died? Was I rescued? Should I dare open my eyes? A stranger sits huddled before a blazing fire. His brawny form glistens in the light. Is he friend? Is he foe? Should I let him know I've wakened? Tenderly, he turns to me as though he felt my steady gaze. Quizzically, I watch him rise, and gracefully he come close to me. A tender hand reaches out to my brow and rests serene for a steady moment. His eyes concentrated, his heavy hand firm. He creases his brow to study me and then moves his hand to touch my cheek. A fever burns within my flesh. I can feel its heat, though I shiver from perspiration. Concern crosses his eyes, and he gets quickly up and goes away. A panic sets in. The handsome man returns. Something is dark within his grasp. It stretches out toward my face. I curl away from his hand. As though knowing my thoughts, his smile softens and his hand trails away, pointing toward the fire. My clothes are draped to dry. And now he wipes my brow slowly with his dark rag. Sleep threatens to take me, and I greatly fear being alone and undone. I watch his eyes, searching for trust, waiting to know what comes next. Would my savior now use his will against me? Would I be prey to more than just the dark world howling outside? My question goes unanswered. My heavy eyes win the fight. When morning dawns and I've come to, my questions will be answered. But for now, I'm hopeless to defend if he desires more than a rescue. I tremble and I quake. His body goes down next to mine. Strong arms wrap around me, leaving the blanket to keep us apart. Suddenly, I curl up close with him. I feel him draw back. Now I know my slumber will be in peace. The morning will answer my swirling questions. Tonight he will keep me warm. I don't know who this man is, but I am in debt to his act of saving me from the storm. So, thank you all for coming. That one might be it, Casey. Yeah, I'll have to ask. I will have to ask my friend Andrew, although you probably would know too. So yeah, thank you guys for coming and watching and hanging out with me as I read poetry. And did not get to do it at a bar, but this was far more fun because I got to do it for you guys, and you guys wouldn't have been there. So I am very grateful, and I will most definitely enjoy hearing what you guys thought of it. So have a good night. Keep safe. Enjoy yourselves, and I will see you all again another time.